Ladies and gentlemen of the Reject Nation, we are going to talk about a subject that I'm sure will be sensitive for many. Leave your thoughts down below on what you think about all this, if you've already heard, and if you haven't heard, we'll go through it all and we'll give our thoughts. We are talking about Oscar fan favorite cheer moment. Zack Snyder, they deserved it. No, we're talking about Ezra Miller today. It's being reported by Rolling Stone. Warner Brothers held an emergency meeting about the actor's future with the company. The meeting was to discuss pausing all future projects involving Ezra Miller and that toilet.
Got a lot of thoughts in the bathroom over there.
As well as any public appearance involving the actor himself. And this is coming hot off the heels of many alarming things, needless to say. So you might have heard recently that he was arrested, and you know, in fairness, that wasn't a bad mugshot, you know? Like,
no, it was a great, lovely mugshot. People should be lucky to have that mugshot.
Celebrity mugshots can be a nasty business. And I was like, you know what? At least he got a not so bad. If it was a bad mugshot, this situation probably would have been way worse, honestly. You know, the situation of a mugshot can be so much more telling of just how bad he was in that moment.
It looks like they got time to prepare for their mugshot.
Yeah, you know, like Nick Nolte's or Mel Gibson's. You're like, oh no, they were messed up that day. So where this stemmed from was, according to reports, Miller became agitated while at a karaoke bar, grabbed the microphone from a woman singing, and then reportedly lunged after another man who was playing darts. The couple filed a restraining order against Miller, and then the article goes on to say, Miller reportedly threatened to burn a couple in Hawaii last week, according to court documents surrounding their arrest. I don't know how to pronounce this name. I am so sorry. Stoyan Kojokarov and his wife Nigel Hayes filed a temporary restraining order against Miller after alleging that Miller burst into their bedroom and threatened to burn them. And of course, I'm sure many of you already remember the whole situation years ago, what feels like, or was it a year ago? I don't know, where Ezra Miller was caught on camera choking a female fan. I've had some people say it was just a stunt, it was a goof. And I've heard other people say that it wasn't, he got aggressive, and that they probably paid that woman to not do anything about it. The thing is, I don't know, and you probably don't know, because they never said shit about it, so we don't know what. We don't know what happened. All right. And I thought it was bizarre with this whole thing with Warner Brothers of the firing and all the drama. Like every time we talk about Warner Brothers, I feel like there's some weird drama slanted with them,
Absolutely.
Right? There's like stained with that. A lot of people who've been fired or been replaced, a lot of people felt it was unjust or unfair. And then other people who got to keep working that they thought was unfair. And then Ezra Miller, they were like, let's just not say anything.
We can't afford another one of these.
And now it seems like that people are finally actually saying something. And I do think he should be held accountable for his actions. These are very violent displays of behavior. And it sounds like a man who is quite neurotic. Like, I don't know this man. 99.9% of you guys don't know this man either. It sounds like he has some real like mental health struggles that he has to deal with. And so he needs help. At the same time, if just because a person has mental health struggles, just because they are suffering with something, to give the benefit of the doubt in that regard, I mean, it seems pretty obvious, that doesn't give an excuse to the behavior, nor should he just be allowed to get a pass on this. It totally makes sense to me because this behavior is ongoing. This is a continuous thing. Like that choking fan incident, I don't remember how long ago that was, but enough time has passed to get to the point where Ezra Miller could have, you know, done enough work on himself to not be attacking people, right?
Yeah, instead of allowing it to get that much worse.
You know, like, I think about it's coming off of the heels of Will Smith physically assaulting Chris Rock. He assaulted individuals, and the amount of condemnation that people have thrown Will Smith, you know, like, well, fair's fair. Ezra Miller should definitely be really condemned for these actions then, too.
If we're pausing upcoming Will Smith joints, we should absolutely be pausing upcoming Ezra Miller joints.
Yeah, because the article's not saying they discussed, like replacing him or firing him, even though that's what this heavily alludes to.
Implies, yeah.
I feel like he really got away with it before, and he can't just get away with it again.
No.
That's basically where I'm standing with this.
Well, and maybe we're at the point now, too, where love of the Snyderverse will no longer eclipse just, like, needing to address bad behavior.
Yeah.
Like, the whole movement is about accountability, or part of it is about accountability over entertainment, so...
Now that's also being reported that there was some insider on the set of The Flash who said they didn't reveal who said this, so maybe it's just a rumor that he was having, like, a lot of sort of mental breakdowns while on set. Like, apparently, Ezra would get a thought in his head and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. In his defense, I feel like they haven't known what they're doing with that Flash movie for the longest time, you know?
Well, I mean, in isolation, that would seem like, yeah, a set that would be enough to drive anybody into sort of a confusing, mixed up place or whatever, or maybe, yeah, equate to some weird on-set behavior, but this does smack of a situation that has only boiled over and gotten worse, because it's like with the removal of time from the choking incident, it's like if nothing else had ever happened, I would be inclined to believe, like, oh yeah, maybe it was some kind of weird prank between somebody they had a connection with that I know nothing about, but now it does feel more like the latter of like, maybe they paid that person to keep quiet in hopes they could contain this, and it's just not working out. I mean, I saw a tweet from Ryan Airy this afternoon kind of identifying it as addict behavior, and I can absolutely imagine that, and that's something that, you know, you can't really control on your own after a certain amount of time, and when you're under this much pressure and in the position of such notoriety and such attention from everyone around, you know, it's only a matter of time before all that boils over.
The way he's talked about his past experiences from the little glimpses I've been able to gather, it sounds like he's had some type of, you know, traumatic... Anyone who displays this kind of behavior obviously would have some type of traumatic, unresolved things that he has to deal with. And yeah, talking about the whole thing with addiction, a lot of this is theoretical and a lot of it is probable. Regardless, that he has to be held accountable for this stuff. And I don't know what the decision is for it. Like, you can't just replace him in the Flash movie at the same time. Like, they need to freaking finish this damn movie. And weirdly, I'm like, well, if there is a character you could replace, I feel like you could actually replace the Flash. Like, I've heard fans already being like, they should have just made Grant Gustin him in the DCEU. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're doing a multiverse movie, so sure, just, you know, get a different actor to play the Flash. They've already had like 14 Batmans going on. 2 of them alone are in this one movie. So I'm like, sure, get a different Flash actor. I think it's so odd of how they've been so tight-lipped. It would just seem like he wouldn't suffer any repercussions for this type of behavior. And I don't feel like this is just another thing of like, woke culture, cancel culture. Like, no, this is not okay. People have to be held to equal standards, especially in the parent company, Warner Brothers. So I don't feel like he should just get a pass on all this. And it's crazy because it sounds like they have like so many things lined up with him to begin with. The Fantastic Beast movie, that's coming out. And then, you know, of course, the Flash movie as well. And of course, with that, there's probably future projects in development to use Ezra Miller as well.
Well, not to mention that this Flash has 3 versions of Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
So it's like triple the Johnny Depp problem all in one movie. Plus you've got Dumbledore to worry about, you know?
I mean, I guess the question is like the forgiveness scale of celebrities weighs depending on whoever the individual is that is casting judgment, right? For me, I could talk about like what I feel is appropriate to do. If he actually, you know, is doing the actual work to better himself, if he is an alcoholic or something, if he is going to rehab, if he is getting some intensive therapy to truly work through these issues, you know, like he's a young guy. He's only like 29 or something like that. He's had a lot of success, and the way he's talked about things, it sounds like he's had a lot of traumatic experiences. He grew up in the entertainment industry, which for many child actors is really troubling times.
Yeah.
So it's not far-fetched to me that he would have an aggressive behavior. It's not far-fetched. Again, though, not excusable. The thing is that there has to be some type of display of actual homework put in. You can't just say, I'll change, or release some statement apologizing. I feel like the right thing to do is to be an inspiration. In the same way how we were able to like see Robert Downey Jr. in a new light. If someone would like, oh wow, their problems were really front and center, but look at them now. And I think Ezra Miller kind of needs to do a similar thing. I don't feel like we can just enable him.
Yeah, and it feels like they're in a position where if Ezra Miller does make the right choices and does agree to maybe address some of this behavior, you know, they could run their Flash movie, take a break from that character for a little while, and then either reinstate or correct down the road with whatever that movie establishes. Because, I mean, to me, I'm sitting here as thinking about WB. They seem to have a track record of being finicky when it comes to how to progress with their DC films, especially. especially films in general sometimes, especially on the big franchise scale. So I'm sitting here wondering, I know they've had to have gone, well, do we need to recast again? How do we not have to scrap this entire movie? And it seems like a lot of that could also come down to whatever Ezra Miller and, you know, his camp decides to do, So it does present a sort of fascinating and very woeful juncture for WB to me, because it's like they're just trying to get their DC universe back on track, and it seems like it's gotten to a point where they maybe wanted to keep this as silent as possible and just can't anymore. And so I don't envy the position that they're in, because it seems like it's a mess for everyone.
Yeah. Patron of the day show. No, I'm sure. But yeah, guys, what do you think is the proper course of action here? Should he be? I feel like he has to disappear from the spotlight for a while. You can't keep a guy like that in the spotlight, and expect him to really grow and change.
Going around the world doing press tours and things. Nah.
Oh, 1,000%. But all right, guys. I love ending these videos. Thanks for being here. Bye.